everyone, welcome to Heart and Hand Extra. My name's David Edgar, I am your host, and I'm joined this week by none other than the Time Capsule's very own Mr. Martyn Ramsey. Hello, sir.
Hi David, how are you?
I'm okay, with the exception of still in shock after Rangers' shockingly inept display in the 1-0 defeat at Ibrox on Wednesday night to Aberdeen. We watched the games back after a suitable period has expired, Martyn, and I watched the game back this morning. And normally, when you've been angry at a performance, you can see that the head of anger, of steam that you build up during the match maybe blind you to certain things. Sometimes you say, well, we made enough chances, or sometimes, well, he played well or he played well. But watching that back this morning, genuinely, even looking for a positive, none of the 10 outfield players who started were anywhere even near acceptable. Rangers were desperately poor, and in the end, I couldn't understand where it had come from, because having played Hearts at Tynecastle and played so well and reacted so well to going a goal behind and showing those intangibles that matter, like character and heart and spirit, as well as some really good incisive play, none of that. Just completely 180 from what we witnessed in the last match, and I was stunned by it, in all honesty.
Stun's the word. It's not what we expected. We spoke about it on Monday in the flagship. We expected us to be buoyed by the building confidence over the past few weeks, especially getting a big-ish result, going to Tynecastle and winning. We expected them to be fired up, given the League Cup semi-final, even the opening day draw. We expected them maybe to have a point to prove. We started all right. We started quite brightly, actually. We played some decent stuff. Aberdeen got what they came for reasonably early on, winning a second ball from a set piece, and the pattern of the game was set from there on in. And we looked sluggish, and sluggish turned to nervous, and nervous turned to panic. And I think Sunday there, I had just about gotten me out my funk after the League Cup semi-final, and been really pissed off with that performance. So it was good of them to renew my rage with the performance that last night.
I think that point that you make, that I was expecting a reaction as well because of the two previous matches against Aberdeen, and I thought that the manager certainly, it's irked him. He's referred to it the last couple of games, and I think he really fancied, right, we've got them in our own patch now, we've got our striker up front, we're going to go out there and take it to them. And I think that's why I expected us to fly out the traps, and really go for them. And as you say, we started okay. Aberdeen's first attacks, ball into the box, and to be fair, things like that can happen. I'm honestly not going to be too harsh about it, because it's a really good finish, in all fairness, and he gets in the end of a dead ball. But I didn't panic at that point, because I thought, there's 83 minutes to go, right, so disappointment, let's just get our shit together. And I don't think that was based on blind hope, because we had witnessed at Tynecastle a Rangers team do exactly that and say, right, okay, and actually had been playing in far more trying circumstances, because Hearts had been the better side. But we didn't do it at all. We went into our shells. And then something that really grates with me, with any football team, but obviously particularly my own, is we talk a lot in football about bravery. And football, it's not always about running constantly or chucking yourselves into tackles or squaring up to people. Sometimes bravery's saying, in a tough environment where the crowd are edgy, give me the ball, I'll make something happen. And when it doesn't come off and you get the groans, to still turn around the next time and go, give me the ball, and look to be attacking and look to use the ball. And we did not have that. Noticeably, it was a topic of discussion at the game. Everywhere around me, everybody I spoke to afterwards, the fans could see this. Players were getting the ball, and if they thought that they were hiding in plain sight by coming short for a pass, taking it, turning inside, knocking it short, being available to take a short ball, repeat, we saw it, we all saw it. The midfield was shockingly poor, I thought, really, really bad. I didn't think the midfield were good at the weekend. In all honesty, I thought that was the weakest part of the team, probably, certainly in the first half. But last night was, you can't win a title if you have a midfield that is so anodyne.
No, you can't. You can't win. Usually, you can't win big games without winning the midfield. you can't win a title without winning big games. That's a kind of standard pattern, standard understanding. You spoke on Monday's flagship about the Tynecastle performance, almost this kind of good rectangle we have that surrounds a gaping hole in the middle of our team, and we'll get our way out of games by forcing the ball out there, and we do have good deliveries from both sides, Middleton as well as Tav, I guess, and Candace can do it as well, and that's how we get out of trouble. That's how we've got out of trouble for the last few weeks. Think back to the visit to St Mirren a few weeks ago, or a month ago, and that's all well and good, but I had expressed concern on Monday that can't always happen, and maybe we're a wee bit too predictable. And Aberdeen would appear have expected us to do absolutely nothing of any note through the middle of the park. We're not going to drive at them. We're not going to try and pass little triangles through. We're going to go out wide all the time, so just flood those areas. And Middleton was getting the ball. He was asking for the ball. I think Tav was pushing up. Candace always looked to do something, but they had absolutely no space at all.
No, Tav had two on him all the time. And again, because Flanagan played rather than a more attacking fullback, rather than say it at Barisic being fit, that meant they only had to concentrate on three. And you're right, they sacrificed midfielders to go out there to do that, and we're confident in our centre backs to be able to get the headers away. And we missed Arfield because he does do something different. He drives, he gets into the box, and we missed him. And what we had is we had three guys. We had Ryan Jack, who can do a specific job, and I'm not sure it's always the job that Rangers need. Certain matches, certainly, but at home, you don't need somebody. If you're playing for a side like Aberdeen or another side in the SPFL, a lot of the time you need someone who can help out a teammate when they get into trouble by just being there, to take the ball and recycle it quickly. But at Ibrox at home, we don't really need that. Aberdeen last night surrendered possession, and not for the first time. The biggest possession stats we've had this season, folks, are last night was second with 67%, and the other game with 68% was League Cup semi-final. So Aberdeen, we're confident, as Martyn says, just give us the ball and our midfield are not going to hurt us. And Jack isn't that type of player. Ejaria was dreadful, and I was talking to a friend about this at the moment. Ejaria, who I think has had good games for Rangers, but you look at statistically 2 goals, 1 assist, that's not a big enough contribution from an attacking midfielder, but he's gone off form. I mean, he did start quite well, but he's gone off form recently. And last night there was an incident that's become a bit of a, if you like, almost a totem of the whole match, where Flanagan was waiting to take a throw in, and Ejaria right in front of the main stand, and the whole main stand saw it and was abuzz, but speaking to people in other stands, they saw it. He stepped very deliberately behind his opponent, to not come for the throw. Eventually Middleton, as you say, he burst down and made himself available, but he's obviously shit out of confidence. And then Koulibaly, heart and hands on, has been pretty poor since his injury. And last night we had the 3 of them in there. Aberdeen gambled. It wasn't a huge bet that none of them could do anything in a positive sense, and they were right. They were all neat and tidy. There were plenty of nice pirouettes from Ejaria before he passed the ball back the way. Koulibaly just disappeared, in all honesty. And Jack, as I say, took the ball, passed it sideways, took it back, did the same. In Jack's defence, he probably, a game where a guy who breaks up play, the other team weren't playing, they were just giving us the ball. So his main strength, he's not going to get to use, and stuff he's not good at, he was having to do. And I thought back to the game last year where young McCrory was playing in midfield and snapping into tackles and driving the ball forward and pulling on. And I wondered about him. We need midfielders. I mean, we can talk about this till we're blue in the face, but we've got a lot of bodies, but I don't think the balance is right. I don't think the skill set is correct all the time, and it just makes us too reliant on some very talented wide players and a talented striker who we will come to for the other side of his game in a minute. And I thought last night was the real archetype of that, and unfortunately I think now teams will look at that, and we should be good enough with a lot of them to beat them by the wide players and the striker. But a lot of teams will go, ignore the midfield, they're not going to hurt you, just concentrate on the wingers, the fullback and the striker, and that'll see us home.
I don't care who you've got out wide or how good they are, they still need space to work. And if we have nothing to concern anyone in the middle of the park, then it's going to be incredibly difficult for these guys who have played, been very impressed with our wide options, and especially in Europe when we do get that space, because we're maybe happier to sit off. Then life's going to be very, very difficult. I think you and I share the same opinion on Jack David. He has his moments, but overall he's just an average Scottish midfielder. I think the old water carrier position's been slightly misunderstood over time, the old Deschamps Makelele thing. I don't think that's simply what they did, was just shuttle around and make easy passes. They were capable of other things. However, I can accept having one player like that is alright. But in the three midfielders we had last night, that's all they could do. You can't have three people doing that.
No.
At home. When you need to win a game. And you need to force a game because you've conceded a goal in the first 10 minutes. So that's a problem. Ejaria, mentally fatigued, probably physically fatigued. I don't know. Kent's obviously getting enforced rest, but I don't know if he'll have played anywhere near the amount of football he's played.
He hasn't.
And that's got to take its toll. Also mentally, just not equipped to deal with playing for Rangers Football Club in, I see, a bit of trouble. This is a glorious position in the league compared to where we've been in December the last two seasons, but Ibrox is not an easy place to play at the best of times, and we've seen our best ever teams have to come through the same conditions. It's not going to change. It's not going to change quickly, so that's the equation. And it's probably no surprise for someone like that who has not been tried and tested and has grown up and has come through that baptism of fire with someone else. He's going through it just now, so it's probably not surprising. But I do worry about how easy this makes us to play against going forward, because we can all talk about January and what we can do possibly in there, but December's a tough month, and it could be reasonably academic by then what we do, and we just need to hang in there by hook or by crook. And if we're in remotely the same position we're in just now come New Year's Eve, we'll have done well, and then we can start to address, in only the second window, remember, the next phase of building this team.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it sounds like we're picking on those guys, we're really not, because the whole team, as I say, were very poor. I was again amazed watching the game back that my memory hadn't played tricks, and in fact had probably reduced the amount of stray passes and passing to a marked teammate or a guy in space, and just bad decision making. If it wasn't bad decision making, it was bad execution. It was just one of those nights where the whole team had a collective stinker. Alan McGregor was going to... I would not have fancied facing Alan McGregor when I got into that dressing room last night. He looked as though he was going to tear heads off when he got in there, and it was just a really, really frustrating night. Martyn, do we need to change the fullback every game? Because it seemed I can't see what Andy Hall... Now maybe he was carrying a knock, right? Maybe he was, we don't know, but we can only go on what we do know, which is Flanagan came in, and I don't think that was unexpected. That's the thing. I think we all thought that would happen, even though Halliday, I thought, had been excellent at the weekend. John Flanagan played poorly, and it is going to sound like I'm picking on him, so look, I think people know my thoughts on him. I don't think he's a particularly good footballer full stop, but certainly he's not a left back, but I think that the injuries he's had have robbed him of his pace. And I think that's what hurts him. I think he's a good tackler, but obviously he's not confident going forward, and if a ball's knocked in behind him by a winger, he's in trouble. But there was no need to make that change, and I get the whole, well, we've got a lot of games and we need to rotate players, but not every single match, surely. And on top of that, Andy Halliday hasn't played anywhere near as much as other players in the squad. And also, we don't rotate the right back, so why is it desperately necessary for the left back? To me, look, I love Steven Gerrard, folks, you all know that, but that was a change for change's sake as far as I could see.
And not for the first time in that position?
No.
No, listen, I don't want to... There is a balance to strike, and there's a balance to strike in certain areas of the team. We've talked about this before. When we had the 4 wide men, for example, available, in order to use them wisely. And December is a crazy month, we know that. Then I get swapping those around. I get keeping that fresh and mixing it up. Not your centre halves, although there is an argument in Europe Worrell's maybe better suited than Macaulay's, maybe more of a seized defender. But the left back thing, I don't understand. There could be an argument. You said that to me when we walked in last week against Villarreal, and Flanagan was playing. You said, well, that's his boy. Now managers have that. Every manager has that. They have that blind spot, perhaps. But that doesn't really fit with the fact he isn't afraid to hook him.
Yeah, that's true.
Usually when there's a blind spot, usually when there's a favourite, they stay on for 95 minutes, come hell or high water. Doesn't matter what they're doing.
Bert Conterman syndrome.
Yeah, because that blind spot remains. But Gerrard has not. Last night's not the first time that Flanagan's went off pretty early.
No.
So
second time he's been hooked at half time in a match at Ibrox. Kelly was the other one.
Yeah. You don't have to be in football long enough or too long to know that's pretty damning unless you're injured or unless there's some kind of great tactical change. And I'm not entirely sure what we were trying at half time last night. But so that is a mystery. That would be the only answer, and it doesn't really tie in with the fact that, yeah, as I said, he's not afraid to give them the butchers whenever required.
Taking a step back, which isn't easy, but we try. Taking a step back with a bit of distance from the match now. Are we being a little harsh? Because it's obviously hugely disappointing. Always is disappointing when you lose at home, but especially to a team that you really dislike as much as Aberdeen. And especially a side as limited as Aberdeen. No disrespect, but they are. Big lads, they run about a lot, they know when to feign injury, they know when to break a game up. They're good at that. We got sucked into that. We lost our discipline a wee bit and started to react to the constant fouls and just making it worse. But we knew that this side were going to be inconsistent. It was put together in the summer. It was put together on a budget in one window. And while it's gutting, it's maybe not unexpected that we'll get these performances every so often.
No, and if there's no pattern to it, then yeah, the perspective is this is football, and a team grabs a goal from a set piece and digs in. That won't be the first time that happens to Rangers. It won't be the first time that happens to big clubs in a league anywhere that they're expected to take the game. But it's more maybe the tactical blueprint that's been set, and what does that mean going forward? How do we overcome that? Because yeah, Arfield makes a difference, but we probably need 2 Arfields, really.
Yeah.
To allow teams to think, oh right, they've got something worth watching in the middle of the park. We can't commit men down the flanks, which then opens up our boys to do what they do quite well. So that would be my only kind of longer term concern, and being outthought tactically by, let's say, one of the more direct tacticians in the league.
The most straightforward tacticians, yeah.
Is a worry. I'll be honest, I don't think you're going to get perspective in December. I think we talked about it, and maybe it was in the group chat rather than on any of the shows. For both us and the beggars, December's going to be mental. It could well be crazy. It could well twist and turn all over the place. The only time we're going to get any kind of perspective, I think, is when the dust settles and all that during the break, and we'll see how close or how far we are away from what we hoped would happen this season, which was just asking the questions. Again, the frustrations come, David, not by, I don't know, dropping points on Sunday, where Rangers teams have struggled in the past.
Yeah.
Dropping points on the 19th of December at Easter Road, okay, that's been a hard place for us to go in the recent past. It is the manner and where we've dropped points, I guess, is the frustration. Knowing that Celtic are naturally coming back a little from where they've been, and they're dropping points as well, and it's how much that could cost some silly points that probably is the greatest frustration. But you're right, the perspective is, in order to have a title challenge, in order to put real pressure going into, I mean, the title race doesn't start until the spring.
No.
Okay, we're jostling for position at this minute in time, and there isn't a title race if you go into the split in Scotland. Then there's more than 2 games of a swing involved. So it's just about staying with the pace. But yeah, we're probably where we should be, because consistency comes from people who know the course. They know how to win titles. They know how to win under pressure. And we don't really have many in that squad.
No, we don't have enough.
And it's always going to be a learning curve until they do.
Maybe we should all just welcome our new Ayrshire overlords, and Rangers and Celtic should accept this season that it's Kelly who are the guys to chase. But yeah, it has been. And look, I suppose the only consolation from last night was that last minute Motherwell equaliser to take 2 points off Celtic. So it could have been worse. Alfredo Morelos picked up another red card, our 8th of the season. Now, at the time, I thought he'd been harshly done by. I said so in a post-match reaction pod. Hadn't seen anything because Shinnie, from where I was, just made a meal of it. I didn't really see the incident. I just saw Shinnie go down like he'd been absolutely shot, and I hadn't seen any contact. So I thought he'd made the worst of it. His first booking, he gets booked for being Alfredo Morelos, although he had been chipping away at the referee before, who's clearly reminds me of Gaza. Do you remember when refs were on? Yeah, we're on red alert with him, and he's got the card ready. Don't get me wrong, and he gets booked for being Alfredo Morelos. It's a nothing tackle. It's his first. It's a piss poor decision, but right, yes, he has got every right to feel aggrieved at the way referees are reffing him. But if you think, and in my case, I think he thinks correctly, that refs are out to get him, don't hand them the gun. What he did was lunacy. I didn't understand it. And he'd been playing so well. My infatuation with Alfie was grown by the week. And then it was just so pointless.
Yeah. We compared him maybe to Drogba, Costa, earlier in the week. And
not in terms of ability, just in case anyone thinks.
No. But in terms of style, and he lives on that edge. Part of his game is being a hustler, and a duel with defenders does not just involve the ball. And if you accept that we have the focal point of our attack is going to be like that, then you kind of have to accept that you're not going to be far away from incidents last night. I never have any sympathy with anyone who says, well, the second yellow card was a yellow card, but the first yellow card was a nonsense. You know the score. You know the situation you're in. So that's been and gone. There's a wider issue, David. That's 8 red cards, and it's not even Christmas time. 8 red cards for a season, I think, is excessive. And you either look at it 2 ways. You take the Souness first season model, I think from his arrival until that famous 2-2 game the following season in October, which is just over a year. There's something like 10 or 11 red cards. And you say, yeah, but we were reasserting our position in Scottish football and we were fighting back. Or you take the Avocat third year model. I think there's maybe 13 sending offs in that 2000-2001 season, and point to a complete lack of discipline and control. Probably somewhere in between. But it's not intelligent football.
No. And it's costing us not only on
he's
the
not
night.
He's absolutely no use.
It's the suspensions that are rattling up. And I just think that Gerrard is entitled to say to him, I've gone out to bat for you every single time. I was doing it this week, and you've got to help me to help you, because I think he's got a right to be a bit disappointed there. Such a shame. He'd been playing so well, and he will come back and play well. I mean, he's a great player, but it was just that side of his game that, as you say, we do know about. So we go to the weekend. We're travelling to Dens Park, minding stopping in that new Tesco that's opened up in the same street, lads, for your pre-match snacks. And we take on a Dundee side who, I think it's fair to say, had been playing, what's the word I'm looking for, shite, but then smashed Hamilton 4-0 last night with a certain Kenny Miller bagging a hat-trick, Martin. So, I mean, they'll be coming into this on a high.
It's just what we wanted to see, wasn't it? This game reminds me of a game I've already referenced, the St Mum game at the start of November, which I'm pretty sure had come off the back of the Aberdeen semi-final. And maybe the Kilmarnock, I'm not too sure. I think it just came off the back of the semi-final. What a raw frustration. And get the fuck out of there with 3 points, however you do it. Yeah. I do not care.
Yeah, I'm the same.
And it's not going to be necessarily again for trying new things or judging the performance too much. We need to get back on track, and they've had a big boost in their confidence at exactly the wrong time for us. So it's not the Dundee of a few weeks ago where it really should be a given. Let's look at Barisic, for example. You would be penciling that game in and going, okay, we need to be careful with his fitness. Can I just rush him back in? We've been and seen that movie too often. That would be a nice game for him to come back. Is it anymore? I'm not so sure. But however we do it, whoever plays, just get the win and get back down the road. Yeah,
no, I totally agree. I think we will do it. I think we'll win. I'm going to go for 2-1, and I think we'll do it. I don't expect a champagne performance. I think it will be tough. I think they'll be in our faces, but I think that we will just about do enough in this one, and then hopefully that will reset the confidence moving into a big week for the Teds. Martin, prediction please, and before we wrap this up.
1-0.
Okay.
Rangers.
Yeah, I'd assume that. Okay, folks, thank you very much for joining us. We will be back on Monday with the main Heart and Hand flagship show. But if you can't wait to hear from us till then, and who can blame you, then just visit our Patreon site. That's patreon.com, patreon.com/Heart and Hand, where you'll find up to 5 new shows every single day on all things Rangers, not just current events, although there's plenty of that, but also history, famous matches, famous players, some shows on some Martin and I do a show called When the Seagulls Follow the Trawler, which covers the EPL, and there's also Serie A, La Liga, plenty of stuff for you to get your teeth into for just $1.99 per month. So come along and get involved. Thank you very much then to our executive producers in London, Mr. Mike Lee and Mr. Paul Miles, to my guest, the wonderful Mr. Martin Ramsey.
Thank you, David. Thank you for listening.
And we will return on Monday. Until then, have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll be back celebrating a Bears victory. Till then, take care. Cheers. Bye.